Do you know how we're doing here?
She thinks she knows better than anyone else.
But I do know better than any of you seem to. And I'm not proud. I never speak unless I know I'm right.
Just so.
How do you know you're right?
Well, I always know. My voice is.
Yes, these voices. Now, why do the voices speak to you and not to me? I am the king, not you.
Charles, they do come to you. You just can't hear them. You haven't sat in the field in the evening just listening. When the Angelus rings, you cross yourself and have done with it. But if you prayed from your heart and you listened to the trilling of the bells after they stop ringing, you would hear the voices just as I do. But what voices do you need to tell you what the blacksmith can tell you, which is you must strike while the iron is hot. I tell you, we must make a dash at Compiègne and relieve it as we relieved Orléans. And then Paris will open its gates, and if not, we'll bust through them.
If our cannonballs were as hot as your head, and we had enough of them, we should surely conquer the earth, no doubt. Pluck and impetuosity are good servants in war, but bad masters. They have delivered us into the hands of the English every time we have trusted to them. We do not know when we are beaten. That is our great fault.
You don't know when you're victorious. That's an even worse fault. I'm going to have to make them carry looking glasses into battle to convince you the English haven't cut off all your noses. You would have been besieged in Orléans, still, you and your councils of war, if I hadn't made you attack. You must always attack, and if you hold on long enough, the enemy will let go first. You don't know how to start a battle. You don't know how to use your cannons, and I do.
I know what you think of us, General Joan.
Never mind that, Jack. Tell them what you think of me.
I think that God was on your side. For I shall never forget how the wind changed, and how our hearts changed when you came. And by my faith, I shall never deny that it was in your sign that we conquered. But I tell you, as a soldier, that God is no man's daily drudge, and no maid's either. If you are worthy of it, he will sometimes snatch you out of the jaws of death and set you on your feet again, but that is it. Once on your feet, you must fight with all your might and all your craft, for he has to be fair to your enemy as well. Don't forget that. Well, he set us on our feet through you at Orléans, and the glory of it has carried us through a few good battles here to the coronation. But if we presume on this further, and trust to God to do the work that we should do ourselves, we shall be defeated. And serve us right.
But
Shh! I have not finished. Do not think, any of you, that these victories of ours were won without generalship. King Charles, you have said no word in your proclamations of my part in this campaign. And I make no complaint of that. For the people will run after the maid and her miracles, and not after the bastards' hard work finding the troops and feeding them. But I know exactly how much God did for us through the maid, and how much he left me to do by my own wits. And I tell you that your little hour of miracles is over. And from this time on, he who plays the war game best will win, if the luck is on his side.
if. If ifs and ands were pots and pans, there'd be no need of tinkers. I'll tell you, bastard, your art of war is no use, because your knights are no good for real fighting. War, for them, is like a game, like tennis or any other sport, where you make up the rules as to what is fair and what is not fair. And then they heap armor on themselves and on their poor horses just to keep the arrows out. And once they've fallen, they can't get up, and they have to wait for their squires to come and help them up to arrange about ransoms with the man that's poked them off their horse. Can't you see the like of this has gone by and done with? What use is armor against gunpowder? And if it were, do you think that the men that are fighting for France and for God will stop to arrange about ransoms, as half of your knights live by doing? No. They will fight to win, and they will give up their lives into the hand of God when they go into battle, as I do. Common folks understand this. They cannot afford armor and they cannot pay ransoms. But they followed me. Half naked, across the moat, up the ladder, and over the wall. With them, it is my life or thine, and God defend the right. You may shake your head, Jack, but don't forget the day that your knights and your captains locked me in. They refused to follow me to attack the English at Orleans. And it was the common people and the townsfolk that broke through the gates and showed you the way to fight in earnest.
I know all that. I do not fight in the old way. I've learnt the lessons of Azincourt. Poitiers and Cressy, I know exactly how many lives of mine any move of mine will cost. And if the move is worth the cost, I make it and pay the cost. But Joan never counts the cost at all. She goes ahead and trusts to God. She thinks she has God in her pocket. Up till now, she's had the numbers on her side and she has won. But I know Joan. And I see that one day she will go ahead when she has only 10 men to do the work of 100. And then she will see that God is on the side of the big battalions. She'll be taken by the enemy. And the lucky man who makes the capture will receive £16,000 from the Earl of Warwick.
£16,000, eh, laddie? They offered that for me? Can't make that much money in the world.
There is in England. And now tell me, which of you will lift a finger to save Joan once the English have got her? I speak first. For the army. The day after, she's dragged from her horse by a goddamn or a Burgundian, and he is not struck dead. The day after, she's thrown into a dungeon, and the bars and bolts do not fly open at the touch of St. Peter's angel. The day when the English find out that she is as vulnerable as I am and not a bit more invincible, she won't be worth the life of a single soldier to us. And I will not risk that life. Much as I've cherished her as a companion in arms.
I don't blame you, Jack. You're right. I'm not worth the life of a single soldier if God lets me be beaten. But France may think me worth my ransom for what God has done for her through me.